Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Channel F Crapshooting. I'm going to be dividing these up into, I think, to smaller videos, so I won't necessarily be answering every question in the order it was asked. But first one I will answer comes from Adam Clark 52, who asks, "What's in my pocket?" Well, Adam, if I had to guess, which I must guess, I'm not hanging with you right now. I'd like to be, though, maybe play some Final Fantasy, watch some Hitomi porn. You could try to convince me to watch Force Awakens. I'm probably not going to do that, though. Anyway, I got a guess. So, I would say a heavy metal concert stub would seem like the most logical guess to me as to what's in your pocket. You'd also like to know the grossest thing I've ever seen in real life. Well, I've seen some shit in my day. Literally, I actually worked as a janitor for a while, a middle school janitor. So you can imagine the kind of sights I had to see doing that. You're inevitably going to see some shit when you have that job in that location. I was working in the evening. Hadn't quite locked the building down yet. Some kids were playing outside, probably just shooting hoops or whatever. And one of them comes in, a male. He comes in and, he takes a shit. Pretty substantial one for a boy of his size, from what I can recall. He decided not to flush at all. So the refuse was still in there along with the toilet paper, the feces, the toilet paper all together. Couldn't be bothered to flush the toilet even once, and just kind of left it up to me to do that. That was pretty disgusting, but like I said, you work that job, you're going to see that sometimes. I've seen several really, really flat-chested strippers in my time. That didn't do much for me, especially when that's literally all that there are that night. Saturday night, you can't find a 1D cup natural or enhanced at all. That's kind of disgusting. I'm paying for that too. I didn't pay to see any of the shit. But yeah, so the middle school boy who wasn't even polite enough to flush even once. If he just flushed once, that would have been enough. I could probably have stood the toilet paper. Anyway, once again, you posed the question, Sandra Bernhardt or Helena Bonham Carter. My opinion of Helena Bonham Carter has not improved over the years. I don't even think she's with Burton anymore, but I still don't like her. I think the last movie I actually saw her in was Terminator Salvation. That really sucked. Sam Worthington, the focus on his character as opposed to John Connor. Not a good thing, the PG-13 rating. So I don't like her at all. Sandra Bernhardt has kissed Roseanne, so I guess if you kiss her, you're kind of getting a little Roseanne-ness rubbing off on you. That's not really an overly pleasant experience to think about, to be with Roseanne by osmosis, I guess. But she did host Real Wild Cinema. She's been in some weird things, so I'd have to say Sandra Bernhardt. Thomas Elliott, is it Thomas or Thomas? I don't know. You're in Italy, over there, Colosseum and everything. How you doing? You've asked, have I heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Yeah, I recall hearing Emperor Palpatine tell that story in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars. I think that story kind of highlights the whole organizational problem with the Sith as a whole. They kind of seem like they're more interested in killing each other than killing their arch enemies, the Jedi, which kind of makes you think why they didn't really gain any ground, over the thousands of years, after they were almost wiped out. I don't really get the whole rule of two thing. Doesn't seem like it's that helpful to me. I can see one Sith having one apprentice at a time. That makes sense. But, so I have heard of the tragedy, but frankly, it seems like a self-inflicted tragedy on them. I would advise some major restructuring for the Sith in the future. They got that whiny bitch boy, hissy throwing punk now leading them, but everybody else seems to think he's doing a good job. Nobody asked me. Ah, Luck Zombie. Luck Zombie asked me if you could pick one person to give a foot massage to, who would it be? Well, several porn stars come to mind. Madison Ivy, Adriana Chechnik. She's a dirty girl. She'd be up for that, and then whatever else I would want to do. Fictionally, Katrina Van Tassel from The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving comes to mind. I recall the text specifically pointing out she had the most attractive ankle and foot in the entire county of New England, or wherever that story happened to take place in. There's not a whole lot of works that specifically point out she has the most, that the female leads of a story have the most attractive feet in the entire state or county, or whatever. It could have been the whole country back then. The country wasn't that big. I guess he's probably excluding Native American women. But the person I would want to give a foot massage to, the absolute most, I think, would be the lovely songstress Michelle Branch. I walk by, I see her sitting on the couch, barefoot, just kind of, playfully strumming her guitar. I'd then take a seat, drape her legs over my lap, start massaging them a little bit, playing with them. She kind of smiles a little bit. She has very expressive eyes, and 90% of giving a foot massage to a girl, I think, is how she reacts to it. Just watching her enjoy it. And Branch strikes me as the type of woman that would be very receptive to that. Watching her smile as you do it. Eventually, she puts away the guitar, and then you have, probably have sex. Most people would probably have sex with her. I'd probably be ashamed about, have a little performance anxiety, and I want to write a song about me, the way Taylor Swift would, after I failed to properly satisfy her in multiple ways. But so Michelle Branch, I'd want to give a foot massage to more than anyone else, I think. Love Zombie then asks, what signed first edition book would you like to own? Well, I have the box that all of my Song of Ice and Fire books are collected in, that are stored in. I have the slipcase to that signed by George R.R. Martin. They are not, he signs everything. His signature isn't worth anything. But, it's very nice to have that signature on that box set. I got Jon Snow's sorrowful, mopey face that the girls just go crazy for, looking at me every time I also look at the signature. It's kind of right above his head. So that's already nice to look at. I wouldn't need a Game of Thrones first edition signed by Martin. Stacy Lynn Brown, the poet, who was an English professor of mine, I have an autographed copy of her first published book of poetry with a little personal inscription there. And by personal, I don't mean talking about all the times we had sex, like all these other hot teachers do with their students. That never happened, but I would have liked it to, but that never happened. But I have Stacy Lynn Brown and George R.R. Martin. I have their signatures in books already. Not, Brown's is a first edition. I would like to have a Slaughterhouse-5 first edition signed by Kurt Vonnegut. I'm very fond of the Kilgore Trout character he created, and God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. He then later reappeared in Slaughterhouse-5, Breakfast of Champions, several other books. Big fan of that character, big fan of that author. I don't know how much he signed over the years. I don't really care about how much it's worth, but a first edition of that signed by Mr. Vonnegut, that'd be nice to have. Would Die Hard be better if Hans won? Would it be better? I don't know. What I'd like to have seen an alternate ending, that they could have put on disc 2 of a special edition where he does win. I guess he's a faster draw than McClane at the climax. So Hans, Eddie, the American cowboy boot-wearing terrorist, and presumably Theo would have made their escape at the end together, assuming they didn't throw Theo's unconscious body out of the ambulance when they're making their escape. I don't think they would do that, because when he wakes up, they're going to interrogate him. The police would interrogate him. They'd find out probably what happened. I guess they could just shoot him before they, after they kick him out. But I'd like to see an alternate ending where Hans, Eddie, and Theo all escape and are living it up on the beach. Hans still reading his high-class periodicals, like Time and Newsweek, sipping a margarita. I see him being a very good tipper at the bar when he orders his drinks. Theo and Eddie may be playing some beach volleyball, with some hot bikini-clad babes. Carl was still alive at that point, also, but I don't really think he deserved to get away with the rest of them. He became such a loose cannon after the death of his brother. He compromised the group many times over. At one point, Hans even says, if you'd listened to me, he'd be neutralized already. So Carl, not a team player, should not have gotten away with the others at the end of that film. Fuck him. I mean, not that I don't. I mean, he's the, as Hans is the action movie villain, Carl is the diehard. He is the action movie henchman, certainly. But I would not have wanted him to get away after what he did to the rest of the group. Love Zombie also asks, should I do a crapshoot? Yes, you should. I think everybody should, and do a video if at all possible. That's why I'm doing mine, maybe to get the ball rolling again and maybe inspire at least one other person to do theirs, although I am the first to do so after Adams Clark's latest one, and that was a while ago, but hopefully this will get the ball rolling. I'd like to see more. Best strip joint you have been to? Club Vogue in Columbia, Missouri. I saw a very busty performer perform there once, and I like the atmosphere of the place. It was run by this very sleazy, but not scary sleazy, doorman, very tall, skinny guy, very long hair, well past his shoulders, tied back into a ponytail, just kind of looked like a textbook sleazy club manager, but not one that was going to shiv you in the back, Assassin's Creed style. The woman I saw perform put on a great show. The doorman was awesome. They weren't charging outlandish prices for private dances with the feature entertainer that I saw there, the way some places often do. So that was cool. I managed to afford a couple of them that night. Also, there was a woman and her husband, or boyfriend, whatever, there, who was as almost excited to see this busty performer as I was. The woman was actually telling the long-haired doorman she had to drag her husband to the club to see this woman perform. So seeing another woman, love giant breasts as much as I do, kind of warms my heart a little bit. I think my heart grew a little, grew a size that night, kind of like the Grinch at the end of whatever. Best hamburger you have had. Little place in Illinois called Wally Burger made excellent hamburgers. Very greasy. I like grease. I like things as unhealthy as I can possibly get them. Makes a delicious burger. It's been years since I've been there, but if you're ever in Illinois and Wally Burger is still around, I would strongly suggest you check those out. Lux Zombie then asks, if you could ask Ron Jeremy anything, what would you ask? The man's had a pretty interesting life, but I would ask him, how did he get that non-speaking cameo in the episode of News Radio where the boss, Jimmy James, is doing a reading of his book, Macho Business Donkey Wrestler? Ron Jeremy makes a cameo as an audience member during Mr. James's reading of the book. He doesn't speak, but as the book becomes more and more absurd due to the Japanese to English translation, and people start walking away during the reading, you see him get up and walk away, one of the last people to leave in confusion during the book reading. And I kind of just like to know how that happened. To see friends with the cast or crew, member of News Radio, I could certainly see him being pals with Joe Rogan fairly easily. Not that hard to imagine, but how exactly did that happen? Is he a huge fan of the show? It'd be a cool question to ask him. I think it'd probably be interesting. Probably be nice to have him for him to be asked a question. That's not about how big is his dick really, or about his many experiences in the porn industry. So I would ask him that. RVD asks you to pick a hand. What do you do? I'd probably just assume he was stoned and kind of go along with it. If RVD asks me anything, he's kind of a loose cannon. I don't want to piss him off. I'd go along with whatever it is he's asking me to do, as long as it's not, knock over a liquor store or anything like that. You get to spend an hour on a trampoline with two ladies of your choice. Who do you choose? I would choose Charlotte McKinney and Lindsay Pellis, both hot blondes, gorgeous blondes, both F-cups, all natural triple Ds, however you want to describe it. F-cups, triple Ds, but just naturally busty, make for a great bounce. They'd make a great pair. Why they haven't done a video together, or a commercial, or a photo shoot, or anything, why they haven't already been paired up, just kind of boggles my mind. Seems like it'd be a natural fit, like ice and fire. Well, maybe not ice and fire, but something that goes well together. Peanut butter and jelly. I'd love to have an hour on a trampoline with those two ladies. How big is Batista's dick? I don't know that I really want to know the answer to that question. It's been asked so many times that if it were answered, it'd kind of just lose the fun. It's kind of like, how big is Batista's dick is kind of like thinking about what were the ladies on that Italian record in the Shawshank Redemption singing about when Andy Dufresne blasted it over the loudspeaker and every prisoner in the yard could hear it. I don't want to know what they were singing about, and I don't want to know how big Batista's dick is. Some things are just too beautiful to know the answer to. Italian singing, Batista's dick. I don't want to know. Don't want to know. Lux Zombie's final question is, who do you want to see on the Iron Throne? Presumably, you mean at the end of the series, and/or books. I don't want to see anyone on the Iron Throne when all is said and done. I want the Iron Throne to be destroyed. And all of the seven kingdoms, every kingdom, actually go back to being an autonomous region ruled by its own king. I want the throne to fall. I've believed sincerely since the end of the first season that Daenerys Targaryen is destined to die in the Great War against the Walkers. I think she'll make a heroic sacrifice to save the Earth, but will die at the end of that, saving Westeros and all the planet from the Walkers. I believe that she will die, and then once she is dead, everything will be... There'll be enough... Things will be unstable enough that every kingdom will simply revert to its own kingdom with the king, not subject to any one king in King's Landing. That's what I would like to see. Jon Snow, King of the North. Tyrion, King of the Westerlands, Casterly Rock. Sansa, I would like... show Sansa is beyond repair for me, so is Littlefinger, pretty much. But book Sansa, I'd like to see kill Littlefinger, marry Aery the Heir, get rid of Sweet Robin, then marry Aery the Heir, the next in line for the throne, or for the head of the Vale, and become basically a Dark Queen of her own. That's what I like to see. No one on the Iron Throne at the end, the Iron Throne destroyed in ruins, and the seven kingdoms, truly seven different kingdoms again. Aegon Targaryen conquered the seven kingdoms and united them under one rule. I'd like to see it all end with the death of the last Targaryen, Dany, and everything go back to the way it was before the Targaryen conquest. That's what I'd like to see. Will that happen? I don't know. And we're certainly never going to find out in the books. And Bob Holly asks, do you think George R.R. Martin will finish the Song of Ice and Fire books before he dies? No, I don't. I have no faith in him at all to actually finish that series. I do believe that The Winds of Winter will come out. I believe it'll come out next year. Books 3 and 4 had a 5-year gap between them. Books 4 and 5 had a 6-year gap. I believe books 5 and 6 will have a 7-year gap. So that means Winds of Winter is on target to be published sometime next year. I think that will happen. I don't believe for a second he will ever actually finish book 7 before he dies. Not so much that he doesn't want to, but he's just so busy with so many other projects right now, and I think he's let the fact that he's become uber famous, since the release of the Game of Thrones show, that he's just not ever going to get around to it. He was starting to drag to begin with, and the show isn't going to help. Also with the show ending before the books do, the show's going to give away many plot points. I mean, some characters like Sansa no longer even resemble their book counterpart anymore, but I think that's going to be a big demotivator for him, so I do not believe he will finish them before his death. I don't want to believe that, but that's what I do believe. I think we're just out of luck, but I am confident we'll get book 6. Bob Holly asks, shouldn't he say fuck that series and do more Wildcard? No, well, he can do whatever he likes once the Winds of Winter comes out. I've come to terms with the fact that that's going to be the last book. I don't care what he does after that. I know of Wildcards, an anthology series of short stories and novels in a shared universe where some sort of alien virus that alters human DNA gives a few people superpowers and whatnot. Sounds kind of interesting. Haven't read any of it. It's just so massive at this point. I wouldn't know where to begin. I'm kind of a completionist, so I feel like I just have to read everything, and I don't know if I wouldn't know where to begin with that. I mean, obviously book 1, but there's just so much. Where's a good jumping in point? And you have so many different authors. I don't know who's good and who's not. Yeah, once Winds of Winter is out, he can do whatever he goddamn well pleases, because book 7 ain't never gonna happen, and I'm fine with that. I'm never gonna do a lot of things I'd like to do. Life goes on. But finish Winds of Winter, for God's sake. Are you going to wear a different mask in this video? No, but I am wearing a nice suit here to go with the mask. I'm not wearing my Suburban Commando cap or the hoodie. I'm wearing a suit here. I'm changing it up a little bit. Do I need to send you a mask? I would have worn a different mask if it were, Halloween season, and I could get a new mask cheap, but I can't. This is really all I'm stuck with. Which Lucador mask do you want to send me? I'm not really a Luca kind of mask wearing guy. I'm pretty happy with the hockey mask. What is your mailing address? 123 Fake Street, Alaska, Nebraska, 12345 zip code. If you want to send me something. Should Lux Zombie do a crapshoot? Yes, he should. I've already told him that once. Maybe telling him twice will make him do one. Everybody should do one. Everyone should do one on video. It's not that hard. You just kind of talk like a jackass for 20 odd minutes or so, like I'm doing now. So with that commandment that everybody go out and multiply and do their own crapshoots, we're going to call an end to part 1. Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, you know what you were getting into anyway. You know me and my posts. So if you didn't like it, just disregard that. That's a little distasteful way to go out. You're wearing a suit here, try to look good, look a little respectful. Just disregard that middle finger. Bye, everybody.